Welcome back to another episode of the Business of Cannabis podcast. I'm your host, Shahbaaz Kara-Virani, and we are live here at Cannabis Europa in beautiful London at the Barbican. Such an incredible venue, and I am extremely excited to welcome our esteemed guest, Nikos Beis. Nikos, how are you, my friend?
Very good, thank you.
How's the day been so far?
It's been amazing. I mean, the crowd is very good. I mean, the exhibition was very busy. It's a very good day for us.
Yeah. Any key takeaways from yesterday, just off the top of your head? One thing that you took away from yesterday's showing.
Well, first of all, we had the honor to have our Minister of Health here with us. So he gave a good insight of what's happening in Greece, what are the next steps in Greece. We saw a very interesting panel regarding the UK, how they're trying to open up the market. And it was a very good day.
Perfect. Well, let's drill into that because there's lots to discuss. And you have a big role in all of this, so I'm excited to welcome you. Tell our audience a little bit more about yourself, your role, and what you're currently working on within the EU.
Okay, so obviously I'm the CEO of Tikun Olam Europe. We just recently licensed our production facility in Greece. It's a fully vertically integrated pharmaceutical complex.
Congratulations.
And we just launched also our first 6 products in the Greek market. So,
wow.
Yeah. Now the plan for the future is to extend a little bit our range, so we have more products coming in and other pharmaceutical forms. And we're looking for strategic partnerships in Europe. So it was a very good opportunity to be here. We met most of the big players of the market, if not all of them. And it looks like there is a bright future in Europe for medical cannabis. I mean, it's
beautiful, and I can see the smile coming across your face as you say that because I know how hard you've worked. 2018, the landscape of Greece, medicinally looked a lot different, right? Walk us through a little bit of that journey over the last 5 years to get to where you are today, which is launching 6 products.
It is indeed a very interesting story. I mean, in 2018, it was the previous government in power that announced the legalization of medical cannabis. So this came also after the big hype in Canada, So
of course, I'm Canadian, so.
So during the first year, I think we had over 200 applications for a license in Greece to grow cannabis.
Wow.
We had the first license because we were the first ones to apply, and we got the first license.
Were you accepting foreign licenses as well?
Yes, but okay. When I say license, it was like a pre-license. So it's an authorization to apply for a license.
Okay.
So many people did the initial application. But then very shortly after, they realized that it's not an easy business. I mean, it's a very capital-intensive investment.
Yes.
And it had a very long way to go in terms of regulatory and legal framing. Mm-hmm. So in 2019, a year later, we had elections. And we went from a left-wing, let's say more socialist government that had cannabis in the agenda, we went to a center-right-wing government that didn't have cannabis in their agenda. Wow. So this created even more uncertainty in the market. We took a decision back then that we said we really believe in the project, we want to go forward, and we made our best effort not only to go forward, but to make a state-of-the-art facility to kind of set the standards high and the benchmark high for the new industry that was being developed. So we continue to invest, and we decided that we will go full on despite what needed to be done, because back then we didn't allow dry flower, we didn't allow exports. There were many things to play. It was unclear what will happen with the new government. But looking back, we're very happy because that brought us here. So we are the first medical cannabis company in Greece. We have our products in the market, and we're ready to go in Europe now. So it's
what a risk, a calculated risk you had to take, and it paid off. It's clearly paid off, but it could have obviously not paid off. So bravo to you and the team. So now fast forward 4 years, you have a fully functioning market in Greece. You've launched 6 products. Tell us a little bit about the products that you've launched, and how did you start to understand, to formulate the products that you believe the patients need access to?
Well, we need to take into account that we come from the Tikun Olam family. Tikun Olam was in Israel was one of the first cannabis companies in the world. So since 2005, they have a long history and heritage in the research. And we had Professor Meshulam, the father of cannabis.
That's right.
He was our scientific advisor.
Rest in
We're
peace.
working together. Rest in peace. So this came from Tikun Olam. So we have a lot of data with like over 50,000 patients that they've been treating in Israel. We have clinical studies with our products. So on the medical side, there is a long history and experience that comes with the name Tikun Olam.
Of course.
And this is what is helping us and driving us in the future.
Tikun Olam carries weight all over the world. All over the world. It was one of the first organizations that I was introduced to. So what are the first 6 products that you've launched in Greece?
So we wanted to go slowly because like it's a medical market, it's a prescription drug. So we wanted to go slowly. We started with a very good balanced strain, which is called Midnight, which we have it for over 15 years, and we have very good results with it. It's a 10% THC, 14% CBD. We launched Eres, which is an Indica 20% strain, Antarctica hybrid strain 24%,
Nice.
and Alaska,
Good yields. Wow,
yeah,
nice.
and Alaska is Sativa 21%.
Okay.
So these are the first products. We launched them in dry flower.
Dry flower.
Oils are coming now by the Q4.
Yep.
And we're looking in bringing new products and new formulations and new pharmaceutical forms in the market in 2025.
Beautiful. And in terms of, access for patients, what does that look like today in Greece? How would a patient go about accessing Tikun Olam's products?
What the legal framework and the regulatory framework that was framed over the last 4 or 5 years is a very pharmaceutical-oriented framework. So
Okay.
the Greek government decided to have the medical cannabis products as finished medical cannabis products. We have to file a dossier for every of our products and get a marketing authorization license. This is a little bit more complicated in the beginning for the companies, but I think it's very good for the market because it's good for the doctors. They trust it more because it's a product that has been authorized by the medicine
Regulatory
authority,
body, yeah.
regulatory body. It's also for the pharmacies. And it's also for the patients because they ensure good quality products. Because we have, like, when I say GMP, we have a proper pharmaceutical GMP that goes up to Class D. We have like over 25 people in our quality department. So QA, QC, 25 people. We're testing on every stage. We're testing even the water that we're planting, everything. It's and this also allow us to have a model in Greece, which I don't think they've done this way in any other country. We partnered for the distribution with 2 big pharmaceutical companies. So they have big teams of medical reps that are on the CNS or in pain or oncology, that they're training doctors already.
I was just going to ask about that.
And
Okay.
this is what they're doing. So they put this in their portfolio and they train the doctors and they say, listen, we're talking to you about CNS, there are these treatments, and now we have this new treatment, medical cannabis, these products. And this was a big success for us because actually, after 2 months of being in the market, we already have over 500 unique doctors that have prescribed even one-time medical cannabis products, and we have over 2,500 patients.
Congratulations. That's no easy feat. I was in a few weeks ago, my dad, he got diagnosed with an infectious disease. He's over it now, thank God, but MRSA. And one of the things I was talking to the doctor about from a pain management perspective, and remember, I'm from Canada, medically legal market for a long time, and I brought up cannabis. No doctors are getting any information regarding medical cannabis, especially because it's recreational now. And any doctor I bring up cannabis with in Canada today, there's still a very big stigma and they're not getting the proper education. And so kudos to you and the team for partnering with that pharmaceutical organized distribution company to educate those doctors. So the sentiment in Greece with doctors right now, it's a positive sentiment and only becoming more positive, or is there some pushback amongst doctors as well? Because it's a change in mindset, right? Of course.
It is indeed, but what we've done over the years, we didn't start now doing that. So over the last 3-4 years, we were doing some effort on educating them on a high level, And we saw the last couple of years, actually, we saw the doctors coming and pushing us and saying, listen, we're out of options. We need medical cannabis because there are conditions, there are untreated needs that we need to treat with medical cannabis. So there are some doctors always, there will be that they're a little bit more, let's say, old school, or they're a bit reluctant. But we see a lot of doctors, especially specialist doctors, that are they want to try it. They see the need of a new, let's say, sector of especially in pain and in CNS.
Yeah, of course.
So it's we see the numbers growing. I don't think there's going to be a lot of resistance over there if you do a proper job.
Beautiful. And based on what you're saying, it feels like Greece is a beacon of light and hope for the rest of Europe, right? Is there anyone in Europe, in your opinion? Obviously, you're here building relationships, expanding out into different markets. Who else is doing it, well from your perspective, from a country perspective today, and where else are you kind of looking at expansion?
Well, from what I heard, I mean, in the UK they have a very similar program, so they have only specialist doctors prescribing. I heard the panel yesterday, they were complaining that there's changes that they need to make just because the regulatory framework is not complete and doesn't give the flexibility to the doctors and to the healthcare professionals. They need some more radical changes, let's say, for the program to push forward. But it's a similar model. So it's prescription, specialist doctors. It's not a final product, which I think creates some reluctancy to the doctor because he doesn't know what he's prescribing. I mean, we've seen things, I don't want to talk bad about other countries, but we've seen things in Germany, for example, before the legalization with the GMP washing. So they bring products from wherever it is and they just repackage them in a GMP warehouse, and it's already a medicine. No, it's not. I mean, our investment was over 50 million just because we had to build a proper GMP pharmaceutical manufacturing facility. So we're growing, and then we're post-harvest manufacturing all in GMP under strict conditions. So it's.
I heard about GMP washing for the first time during this show. That's very, very interesting to hear. So England, the UK is doing some big things. Where else is a similar model, or looking at a
Poland has a very similar model because they also treat the products as final products. So you need to go there, register. You need to wait for 8 months for the registration to go forward. So I think it's a more pharmaceutical market over there. So this is what we're looking at now at the moment. Germany, you cannot ignore Germany.
No, of course
it goes without saying. And slowly, I see new markets coming in. Today we heard about the Czech Republic. But it's still an unclear environment. I mean, every year we see new things, which is exciting. You never know what's going to be in the next year. So it's we're positive about the future.
We had Olga from Ukraine on yesterday, and she was telling me a little bit about the Ukraine market, and it feels like that could be a significant play as well. So a couple more questions for you before we wrap. So as a CEO and as a leader of Tikun Olam, how do you? It's one thing to build the trade relations. How do you create kind of how do you influence the regulatory framework, right? Because you've obviously been successful, right, through your lobbying efforts and advocacy efforts in Greece. So how does that look, as you roll out to all these other countries? Or is that more of a domestic play and you need to, enable kind of the domestic leaders to open up that regulatory framework, and then you go in? Help me understand that a little bit.
It works both ways. I mean, the way we did it in Greece is, as I said in the beginning, we decided from the beginning to set the standards high. So we created a state-of-the-art facility. So in the process, when you were trying to convince the authorities there that this is a serious business, it's a pharmaceutical product, it's going to create exports, it's going to meet the needs of the patients in the country. If they didn't see a serious and consistent approach, maybe they would think about it differently. But that helped us create the trust with them and listen to us and see the needs together with the help of the doctors, of the patient associations. So we worked all together hand in hand and to create this regulatory environment. Now, having done that and having strict standards also on the operation of it, it's easier when you go to a new country. First of all, show your EU GMP and show your market authorization licenses, and also show that you have the support of the government over here. So it helps both ways.
Well said. Do you believe Greece will ever get to a place where recreational is a consideration and adult use?
At the moment, it sounds a bit far away.
Yeah.
But of course, if you see more and more countries in Europe coming towards this way, at the end, I think we will follow. But I don't think it's going to be one of the pioneers in the recreational industry.
Yeah, especially with the medical market booming and doing so well. So in a couple of years from now, let's say 2.5 years from now, where do you foresee the medical market in Greece? How many patients do you see? You have 500 doctors right now. Does that number grow substantially, or does it? Does their knowledge just get deeper? Is it a wider net? What does the landscape look like 2.5 years
I'll
from now?
tell you. We heard also the minister yesterday. He said a little bit how he sees the future, also from a regulatory perspective and a market perspective. They now already were discussing about expanding indications, because now we have some specific indications where most of the countries have, like chronic pain, cancer pain, spasticity, MES. So now they're looking into expanding the indication and expanding also the doctors that can prescribe it.
Yeah.
So this will create a wider, let's say, platform, wider access in the market. Also, don't forget that in Greece we have 10 million people, but we have 40 million tourists that come there every day.
Yeah.
And the tourists, number one client in Greece is the German tourists. Number two is the UK tourists.
Yeah.
Americans, Canadians. So they're all used to the medical cannabis.
Yeah.
What they're doing now in Greece, they're making it easy for patients that are eligible for medical cannabis elsewhere to come and very easily have access to medical cannabis in Greece.
Fantastic.
So this gives us some prospects, which is, I don't want to calculate them, but it looks very interesting for the future.
A comparison is the Puerto Rico market in the US. They make it very easy. It's a medical market, but they make it very easy for anyone coming in to get, who's a patient, to get access. So that's excellent that you're thinking of not only the patients and domestically, but everyone who's coming in. Economically, it's a huge opportunity as well. So wonderful, Nikos. This is a fantastic conversation, my friend. Appreciate you lots. Anything that you want to leave our audience or our listeners with? Any key takeaways? Any last minute words?
It's important to the leaders of like the medical cannabis industry in Europe. I think we need to start coming together and creating a more harmonized regulatory environment in Europe. I think this is the biggest problem in Europe right now. So
it's very disparate. It's very disparate, right? And you'll hear this through all the conversations we've had. It's very disparate. But I'm personally very excited about the market in Greece because it very much feels, from everything I've gathered, like a beacon of hope, and it feels like Greece is the leader, and organizations are going to follow your lead, and countries are going to follow your lead as well.
We're trying to set a good example. I mean, it's from our perspective.
And you are, based on everything that we know. Thank you so much for the conversation,
Thank you.
friend. Appreciate you, and we'll chat with you soon.
Thank you.